Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Boss Rush Expansion Pass. I am your host, Corey Dierig, and I'm here flying solo this week to do a mailbag episode. I put the call out for some questions, and I'm actually kind of surprised at how many people wrote in or, receive the call on that. Some of these are also questions from YouTube for other content, so I'm just going to answer them here. That way we can, kind of have them all and have a pretty meaty mailbag episode for you. So yeah, I'm here by myself. The night of this recording, Ed doesn't really feel all that great. And Stephanie's working and everybody else is kind of working and busy. So here I am, gonna try to ride this one solo for you. So hope you enjoy it. It's been a long week, but it's been pretty successful, I think. Work's been busy. Kids and all these other things that's going on, but that's okay. That's thing we call life, right? Busy things going on, people doing things. So all right, well, let's see, this is Expansion Pass, so I want to talk about what I've been playing. Although I've been playing a lot of Fire Emblem recently, both the mobile game and Fire Emblem Engage on Nintendo Switch. Yes, these are both extremely old games. I realize it's 2025, but it's fine, and we'll get into that later in the episode. There's a question about keeping up with new content, and we'll get there, but I'm thoroughly enjoying both games. The mobile game is I haven't paid a cent for it, and I've probably put like 40 hours into it, mostly because I can kind of have it do its own thing, auto battle, and that kind of thing, kind of set it to where we can just go and it will play itself, sort of, and I can get the orbs to unlock new heroes, and yeah, it's fun though. I'm really enjoying it. I think it's, if you are a fan of the 3DS games specifically, or the DS games, probably the 3DS games more likely, I recommend downloading it and playing through the campaign. It's relatively easy. I'm on my third playthrough of the main campaign on lunatic mode to absorb all these orbs to unlock characters, and yeah, you can get a lot out of this game for free. I'm telling you. Their what do you call it? Their season pass is $10 or whatever. Their monthly pass is $10 a month. I don't know if it's worth it or not. You can try it out. You can have a free trial of it, I think, for 2 weeks. You can definitely try it out, but other than that, it's a good time. It's really fun. I do recommend it for people who are fans of Fire Emblem. And then obviously Fire Emblem Engage is more traditional Fire Emblem. Really enjoying that as well. But I'll talk about that on Nintendo Power Block, which if you are a patron, was yesterday. And if you are not a patron and you listen to this on free feeds, then I'm sure you've heard me talk about it over the last few weeks. Hopefully by the time this comes out on free feeds, it will be done and I will have finished it and moved on to something else, hopefully something like Xenoblade or something. But with that said, let's get into these listener questions. Remember, you can email us. Well, this is Expansion Pass. I don't really know where you should email us, but you know what? Don't email us. I'll figure it out. But you can leave comments on all the YouTube channel videos. You can leave comments in the Discord. Look for the Twitter thread, Blue Sky thread, those types of things, and we'll get to them, right? So let's get into it. Let me check Twitter real quick to make sure I don't have any other questions. I don't know if we do or not, but maybe we do, and I missed them. I don't think I did. It doesn't look like I missed anything, so we're going to move ahead. And yeah, it does not look like I did. So we'll move ahead and read these questions. Excuse me. That was not wonderful. All right, where did my window go? Here we go. Our first question comes from Antonio Siciliano. 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 That's an Italian name. Hey guys, just me. I've recently found Boss Rush podcast while looking for Switch 2 news, and I subscribe to everything. You all sure do a lot, and I wanted to ask 2 questions. One, what are your favorite podcasts to listen to? And 2, what would you add, subtract, or change about Boss Rush now if you could? Thanks for the awesome content. Well, Antonio, welcome to the Boss Rush shows. Thanks for subscribing. Everything. Hope you don't get burned out. So yeah, I think I appreciate you subscribing. Let's see. First question: what are your favorite podcasts to listen to? Well, man, I listen to a lot of old school people podcasting, just because like some of the newer stuff is kind of, I don't know, it's been really hit or miss. You know, some stuff I used to listen to a lot, I kind of grew out of. Some stuff doesn't exist anymore. But right now I would have to say the podcasts I listen to the most are Jeff Gerstmann show. Jeff Gerstmann, if you don't know, went from GameSpot to founding Giant Bomb, which is still going, to now he does his own thing, the Jeff Gerstmann show, and the Jeff Gerstmann show on YouTube, the Jeff Gerstmann podcast. I listen to that. He does it by himself for 3 hours every day, or not every day, every Tuesday. He also has a couple other podcasts that he does for his Patreon exclusively, like Game Boys to Men, which is a kind of like a retro-ish gaming podcast. He also does, I think he does some sort of wrestling podcast, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But definitely the Jeff Gerstmann show. Really, it's a really great solo show. Something I have thought about doing on my own, something like that at one point or another, multiple times, just because I really like I don't mind solo shows. I know some people are like, why would you do a solo? Like, I know I'm going to get comments from this, even from people on my own team. Why are you putting out a solo show? I think the solo show is interesting because you're not really influenced on your answers by anybody else. And even if you feel like you're not influenced by others, I always feel like you're kind of influenced one way or another by other people, even if you are, kind of more self-controlled than others. I think that's one of the big things on the internet these days is like, if you're not a part of the team that likes this, then we're gonna, throw you out. And, I don't really care about one way or the other, what people say or the industry says, or, not to sound mean, but even what some of my friends say, right? Like, I just don't care. I'm going to go have my own opinion on things. And sometimes I think having a solo show helps you kind of keep to that vision, with no outside influence or no working, coworker, co-host influence on things, right? And I just think it's kind of easier to stay on track with your own thoughts that way. I still might do it someday. Depends on how long Boss Rush lasts, and depends on time and I do so many other shows already anyway. Like, is it even worth trying to do another one? I don't know. I don't think so at the moment, but I really like the way that the Jeff Gerstmann show's solo show is set up. And sometimes he has guest hosts on, right? Like, he had Adam Boyes on a couple weeks ago, who former co-CEO of Iron Galaxy, former PlayStation guy. Now he's doing I think he just opened a gaming consultancy. If you are unaware, he was the guy in the video, the PlayStation 4, here's how you trade games with your friends, kind of stab at Xbox during that reveal, with Shuhei Yoshida, who also just recently left PlayStation. And that's just a classic video. You should look it up. It's really funny. Even if you're an Xbox fan, you can't help but laugh at that. It's pretty on point. So I really like the Jeff Gerstmann show. Staying on the Giant Bomb theme, I guess, is the Nextlander. I really enjoy Vinny and Brad and that crew over there. They do a lot of great stuff. I actually met Vinny at PAX East last year, which was cool. Another huge influence of what I kind of want our podcast to be is like Nextlander and like old Giant Bomb, that kind of thing. So they're awesome podcasts, long podcasts. If you need long podcasts to listen to, Jeff Gerstmann's show usually runs about 3 hours. Nextlander about 2.5 hours. And then the other shows that I listen to, all of Last Stand Media's stuff. So former PlayStation, Colin Moriarty. I know a lot of people have opinions about him. I don't really care one way or another. That Sacred Symbols is the PlayStation podcast over there. Punching Up is a Nintendo podcast over there. I listen to those every week. Summon Sign, which is like their gameplay, their in-depth gameplay discussion show, hosted by former Easy Allies Brad Ellis, and it's a really awesome show. Defining Duke, which is the Xbox show that Mr. Matty plays in, friend of show Lord Cognito host. It's a great Xbox show. One of the best Xbox shows. In my opinion, it is the best Xbox show. It used to be Podcast Unlocked that Ryan McCaffrey does, but that show has so many different co-hosts all the time that, like, if it was just Ryan, I would listen to it every week. But like, I don't know, the way IGN has been going, and even traditional games media is going, it just kind of feels like, well, got to put something out. Let's just get a group of people here that may or may not know the brand at all, and it's just, I don't know. That show, I think Ryan is like the best Xbox person in the industry, honestly, but like the people that they surround him with is kind of, especially since Destin Legary left, like, it's just kind of, I don't want to say embarrassing, but it's just like he's like, it's like basketball reference here. It's like when LeBron played for the Cavs in the mid 2000s, and the team that, like, he was all-star, like all NBA caliber player with like a bunch of basically, G League players on the team. Like, that's kind of what it feels like, to be honest. I do still listen to that from time to time, depending on who's on it or not. So yeah. And then, what other shows do they do? I guess Sacred Symbols, their PlayStation podcast, Constellation, which is like their conversational podcast. It's awesome. It's just a bunch of random topics every week, 3 or 4 random topics that they just discuss, which is cool. It's a great show. And then, some kind of funny stuff. I used to listen to that all the time. And then I feel like I kind of grew out of it in a way. Plus, like, their community has always been really not great towards me or my friends or our community. So, like, I always just kind of stay away from their community. I did meet Greg at PAX West last year, and he's an amazing person. He's a great guy. Like he's so nice and genuine and really knowledgeable about the industry, and just the fact that he took the time when he was with his kid, not even on, like on as a personality, and just talked, was really nice and cool. But honestly, their community really turns me off, and that's kind of, you know, I don't really care for their community, and like sometimes like their stuff, I don't know, there's something about it that I just at some point I just felt like I outgrew. Uh, but I also haven't listened to it in a long time, so maybe it's a little bit different now. But at this moment, it's just kind of, you know. Let's see what other podcasts. Let me open my podcast app and see what else I listen to. Um, let's see here. But I mean, those are the main ones. I don't miss those shows every week. Let's see, library, right? Yes, shows. Um, the Iron Lords podcast, right? I listen to the Iron Lords podcast, and I listen to the Last Word Destiny podcast. I love those shows. Abantis, shout out to Abantis and Lord Cognito again for Last Word. I know it hasn't really been going recently, just because Destiny's kind of in a weird spot, and they kind of take breaks depending on what the state of Destiny is in. But I still really love that show. I think they're great. And then there are some other sports shows that I listen to. I listen to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, which is a Cleveland sports podcast. It's 2 hours long. The Bark Tank, which is a Browns podcast. Cleveland Browns Daily I listen to. So, those are some non-gaming podcasts I listen to, but mostly, those are the shows that I listen to. You should check them all out though. They're all really like great, and they're all long. So if you have a long work day and you're able to listen to podcasts, like they will surely take up your day. All right. Our next question comes from Deshaun Malone. He says, "Hey, my guy, it seems that you're on a less of the Boss Rush podcast these days. Why is that? How are you feeling about everything right now?" Oh, wait. Sorry. I need to go back and answer Antonio's second question. I'm sorry. Sorry, Deshaun. I'll get there. What would you add, subtract, or change about Boss Rush now if you could? Man, I don't really know where to begin with that question, because there is actually a lot I would probably change about Boss Rush at this point, if I had to start over. But it's like a butterfly effect type thing, right? It's like, okay, yes, the people I have on the team do such a great job, but what would I change? Like, okay, well, honestly, the Boss Rush podcast probably wouldn't exist. I would have Pal Block be the flagship show of Boss Rush Media, right? And then have the other console shows like, have LeBron do Crossroads, and obviously I do Xbox Casuals with Josh. So and maybe Crossroads would be like the PC handheld PC market type show, right? And the technology show and that kind of thing. Uh and then we would have a separate PlayStation show. I don't know. I would do that kind of thing, right? Like, I think the way the Boss Rush podcast has, like, the way it's structured, right? Mostly talking about what we've been playing, worked, you know, 3 or 4 years ago that way, but now it's like, man, how many times can we hear, sometimes like, aside from Pat, like, we're all playing the same game like 4, 5, 6 weeks in a row. It's like, how much more can I say about this game, or and then we try to switch it up with topics and stuff. I just, uh, I if I could change it again, I don't know if the Boss Rush podcast would exist. Honestly, I think. the fact that it does exist, I don't want to say it hinders what else we can do, but it definitely takes time away from other things that we could be doing. And I would, I think the main thing would be I would take that away for sure. I would make Pow Block the flagship kind of show of the brand, and have, other shows that would kind of be a part of the brand. I kind of miss the console news shows that we used to do, honestly, but I don't know. I couldn't do them all. I would stick to the shows that I'm doing outside of that, outside of Pow Block and expansion, and Xbox Casuals and Expansion Pass, right? Like, I don't know if I could do a PlayStation show, or I mean, just especially because like I'm not even into PlayStation. I've actually been tinkering with getting rid of my PlayStation 5 before uh, it becomes less valuable, and focusing on other stuff, just because I'm not into it. Well, I guess that's ironic though, because my favorite podcast is a PlayStation podcast. So what do I don't know. Uh, I just think that the more and more things we kind of do and accomplish here, the less and less relevant the Boss Rush podcast in its current state stays relevant. Uh, and that's not saying that everybody's doing a bad job, because I actually think like people are doing a great job with it. It just, in terms of just pure looking at it from a bird's eye view down, like, it's definitely hindering what else we could possibly be doing. Uh, so I would actually kind of, if you look at the way, so I'm gonna use Last Stand as an example, right? Their flagship show is Sacred Symbols, which is their PlayStation podcast. Like, if we looked at ours, like, Pow Block would be, that for us, and then their kind of exclusive content is Sacred Symbols Plus. So for us, it would be Expansion Pass would probably be that, kind of be the kind of catch all, kind of what it is now, of like, hey, we have an interview, we have this mailbag episode, we have guests on to talk about stuff, and that sort of thing. And then, Summon Signs is the gameplay discussion show from them. I would like to have that, and maybe that's what the Boss Rush podcast should have been. Just kind of talking about that. But then, like, what do you call it? Because like that by itself is not, shouldn't stand as like a flagship show. I don't know. That's my opinion. And then, maybe you mix that in with like Constellation, which is the topical show, right? Like, kind of have a mixture of both in one. But that's kind of what I would change from a podcasting standpoint. That way we would have more to do. Also, I'm really trying to get more people involved. It's just like some people that are involved in Boss Rush just don't want to be on camera, or I don't know if they're, you know, intimidated or afraid, or just not camera people, which is fine. Some people just aren't camera people, right? That's cool. I don't care either way. I just, I do want more people involved, especially on the podcasting side. So yeah, I don't know. That's probably the thing I would change the most. I would really restructure uh the totem pole, if you will, of our podcast structure. But it's kind of too late now. For now, it's too late. So yeah. Anyways, let's move on to Deshaun's question, because it's kind of similar lines, right? How do you feel about everything right now? Are you, he says, see less on the Boss Rush podcast these days. Why is that? Are you feeling okay about everything? We got you right. Love and peace, brother. Yeah, Deshaun, I haven't been on because work has been really busy, and the Bossies took up a lot of time in January to the point where I just needed a break. Even though I had a break from talking, but I didn't really have a break from editing stuff. So that's kind of where that's at. I do want to be, I do still want to be on the show. I mean, I still host the show, right? Laron's done a great job of filling in, and I have toyed with the idea of just having him kind of host it while I kind of figure things out, because there is just a lot going on now across the board, especially because, like, I don't know if people realize it or not, but, like, I host most of the shows. And this is just from like me having time standpoint, right? Of like, I host most of the shows, I edit all the shows, I post all the shows, I social media all the shows, I post them all to the website, right? And then I also manage our Patreon. I manage the website design, which needs fixed. I know it needs fixed. It's on the struggle bus right now, but the current design was kind of a band-aid until I figured out what to really do with it. But yeah, I manage all that. I mean, Lasby has everything organized, and he manages the writers and the posts and stuff. But the way the website looks and the menus and everything, I handle, right, and so that takes a lot of time. And there's a lot of time that goes into this, more and more and more time as we get bigger and bigger than I think even people on the team realize. And it's yeah, I would really like to get smaller, to be honest. There's just a lot going on, and the more people I would really like to get involved. But honestly, I would really like to find some sort of like editor or something, because I feel like we haven't grown in terms of like financial success or just growth in general, because I'm doing too much on the back end. And it's been wearing on me, especially since work is getting busier and bigger, and a lot going on there. And oh yeah, I'm not, I hope it doesn't sound like I'm complaining. I'm not. I'm very thankful for how big we've gotten, and how successful we are. It's just a lot. As we get more successful, the more work it all kind of becomes, so that's kind of where I'm at there. But yeah, I mean, I'm feeling okay. Tired. I'm feeling okay. So my biggest thing is I would really like to just change a lot of things, but we're too far along now, and there's too many other things going on that I can't change now. So anyways, all right. Sam Hall writes in, "Hey, I saw the call for expansion pass questions, and I didn't really know what to write, but I thought of this. How's it working with publishers and developers? Do you ever get free games? What's that process like? Love what you all do. Looking forward to the mailbag episode." We do work with publishers and developers as a team. I work with, I wouldn't say I work with certain ones, because I kind of leave that to the team. My thing is I like to kind of approach things without dealing with publishers or developers, because once you become businessy with them, right, it's like they have expectations of you, and if you don't go, and this isn't every company, right, but like, from a generic point of view, right, like, oh, most creators, like when they get free games, they from publishers and bigger publishers, right, they feel like they have to give them good reviews so they keep getting games from these developers and publishers, right? And I don't want to deal with that, because that also, I was talking earlier in the show, that influences your perception of a game. And it's like, I don't want anything to influence my perception of a game. There are a very rare exception do I accept free codes for games to actually like sit and play for a review discussion or something, right? Like Destiny stuff, right? Like I've been friendly with people at Bungie for a long time, former Bungie employees, current. There's still a couple people I know over there, but I got a code for the final shape and the expand and the episodes for free, right? So like I played through that and reviewed the final shape, but like also you go back 200 some episodes of Tower Casuals and even into DNA Weekly Strike, my old Destiny podcast, right? Like, I have no problem talking about the negatives of Destiny, right? Like, and so like that doesn't influence my thoughts, right? Because like at the end of the day, if they don't give me a code, I'm going to buy Destiny anyway, right? So whatever. Um, but like there have been codes that have been offered to me that I have sent to, other people because I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to, I mean, again, there are certain exceptions, right? Like, and there are companies that I'm friends with or friendly with. I wouldn't say friends. I would say friendly with, that I just like, I still don't take codes or buy their games because I'm not interested, right? I'm not, if it's a genre I'm not interested in, I'm not going to play it, like, uh, there's plenty of games like that there's let's see, I'm trying to think of an example that I could use, um but man, I can't really think of one right now. Like, okay, so like I guess Toge Productions, right? Like we're really friendly with them, and I think they are amazing people. um Boss Rush has a great working relationship. Pat, Stephanie, David, former Boss Rush employees have all had great relationships with Toge Productions, play their games, review their games. It's awesome. I love everyone over there. I'm going to be honest with you, a lot of their games are not for me. Just they're just not for me, and I think that's okay. You don't have to like every single game that comes out. Uh, I love Nintendo, but not every Nintendo game's for me, right? Like I play most of the Nintendo games for some sort of discussion on PAL Block, right? But like, you know, I don't I don't care. Like, I don't really care for 3D platformers. Mario Odyssey wasn't for me, but we still had a discussion about it. Or uh, 1-2 Switch is terrible in my opinion. I hate that game. And everybody 1-2 Switch is bad, you know, but whatever. But like we don't have a working relationship with Nintendo, so maybe that's a bad example. But uh, I just, I not everybody can be in everything, and I don't. I want to be the type of person who gives my honest opinion on games, and uh, because if you can't give your honest opinion on games, like I've seen some reviews out there that are like, man, you're clearly sucking up to this company because there's no way that this game is that good. Because I see other reviewers out there giving scores, that are different from this, way different on one side or the other, and it's like, man, this is also, I think though, like I'm lucky enough to be in a position where I don't need to be like I don't rely on these games to have some sort of creator career, right? Because like I have a really great job, and that kind of allows me to do that anyway. Where I know some people rely on this stuff, and so like, from a financial perspective for them it makes sense, but like in terms of opinions and stuff, like that's why I don't listen to a lot of podcasts from, you know bigger, other, you know there are specific people I listen to because for that reason. So, I hope that answered your question, Sam. I don't really want to accept free stuff, you know. Stephen Myers writes in, "Hey, dude, do you ever feel the pressure to keep up with the current games? How do you handle that? Looking forward to your answer." So this one's, I don't want to say it's a hard question, but like I yes and no, I guess. I know it's a dumb answer, but I have made it a point this year to kind of focus on three things specifically. Nintendo, the Nintendo ecosystem is what my main focus this year, right? I'm focusing on Nintendo's first party and like the games that come out on Switch and Switch 2 this year. Uh and so that's kind of like my main priority. I will be buying Nintendo's first party stuff and playing them kind of right away just to give initial impressions, but uh and then, you know, secondary will be Game Pass, like anything that comes up on Xbox Game Pass, Xbox related, and Destiny are the other two things that I'm going to be focusing on. There's too much to play to keep up with everything. I'm not interested in everything, and there are certain games that I want to play that I haven't played yet. And by trying to keep up with new games all the time will always prevent me from playing the games that I already have. And so from that perspective, I will not be keeping up with a lot of the new stuff until A, it goes on sale, or B, like maybe I'm just not interested in it, right? Like a lot of the PlayStation stuff, I'm not interested in. Like I said, I'm going to get rid of my PlayStation because I don't play it. I never play it. Um, you know, if the Xbox situation, excuse me. Oh, excuse me. I had to sneeze. If the Xbox situation gets to the point where Xbox just stops making hardware and Xbox kind of goes away, then yeah, I will get rid of my Xboxes probably and get a PlayStation and play the games I want to play over there, right? It's at the end of the day, it's not that big of a deal, right? It's not. Nintendo's never going to go away. If they do go away, A, there's going to be bigger problems in the world if Nintendo or Sony or Microsoft go away, right? There's bigger problems in the world. B, even if Nintendo does go away, like their games, at least their first party games never really require any updates, or day one patches or anything, right? At this point, at the time of this recording. So like I'll always be able to play their games offline. I played almost like 10 hours of Fire Emblem this week offline and it was fine, being connected gives you extra perks and stuff, right? Like there are things on there that give you bonuses and bond things, right? Like, but like you don't need to be online to play those games, and it's great. Um, let's see. On the other hand, like when Assassin's Creed Shadows comes out, yeah, I want to play that. There, Mina the Hollower, I want to play that. There are definitely specific games I will be playing when they come out. I'm not saying that. Uh, but like every man, if you look at every week, there are like 1, 2, 3 games every week that are like major quote unquote releases that you're just like, how do people like how do these creators play them all? And you know what I realized? They don't play them all. They, and this isn't towards everyone, right? But there are definitely creators out there that are definitely just making videos or talking about what other people are talking about or saying when they play it, right? And again, I don't want to be that person either. I don't. I don't need to. If I miss something, that's big. Okay, great. I missed it. Conversation around it. That's great. There are definitely big games that people love and played that I just didn't like God of War Ragnarok, for example. I played like half of it and I was like, I'm done. I'm good. I don't care. Uh, but like that's people's game of the year of that year, and that's fine. It's great. It's just not. I didn't care for it. So, I hope that answered your question. At the end of the day, my my goal this year is to play the games that I want to play, especially games in my backlog. And if I finish them, great. If not, I'll just move on. And a good example, right, is Ninja Gaiden 2 Black. I downloaded it. I played it like a week after it came out. I played like 7 or 8 chapters, and I got my fill of it. And I'm like, I'm good. I don't need to play more of this. I just don't need to play more of this. And I think that's fine. I don't think you have to. I think I've gotten to the point where like you get what you get out of these games, and you enjoy these games for what they are. And once you hit that point of playing the game, and you hit a point where you're just not having fun anymore, then if you want to put another like hour or so into it, see if it go somewhere, then great. But if not, like just put it down, start something else, play something else. And it's definitely taken me a long time to learn that for some reason. Like it was always really hard for me not to finish a game because like, oh man, I paid like 60 or $70 for this game. I need to finish it because I bought it, even if I'm not enjoying it, just so I get my money's worth out of it. But at the end of the day, you can't force your like, games are supposed to be fun, like for me, it's about having fun playing the games. And if I'm not having fun at the end of the day, I don't know if I want to be playing it. So, of course, there are games that are like you play that you aren't really having fun, right? Because it's more of a. I think The Last of Us is an example of that, right? Where like, that it's not quote unquote fun. Maybe the gameplay, you like the gameplay or whatever, like that might be fun, but like it's not going to give you the same whimsical experience that Mario or Zelda does, right? Like obviously. So, but again, like The Last of Us again is not a game for me. I don't care for it. So, I played it for a little bit and I put it down because I didn't like it. All right, let's move on. Man, 43 minutes. I still have 2 questions left, it looks like. Gabriel Sanchez writes in, hello, friends. I am now in the Boss Rush community and wanted to know how you all got so big and what your stance is on other outlets. Do you think having a website in 2025 is outdated, considering you have that and tries to put out content daily? I am curious if you think that is an outdated notion. Thanks, and I look forward to more content. Well, Gabriel, I think the days of having an IGN, GameSpot, Game Informer type website, I think those websites are slowly turning into, well, not slowly, I think they are now, like SEO farms, right? Like it's hard because like anybody within my age bracket, right, grew up on things like IGN and sites like that gave you your information. And I think the rise of YouTube and obviously companies like Giant Bomb and Kind of Funny and places like that, I think with the rise of YouTube and those types of companies focusing on engaging a smaller community, and that community being super engaged in their content, has really changed the way we think of consuming content. Podcasts are huge. I mean, everybody has a podcast, right? Like that's another problem I think we are battling in terms of like consumption, like numbers and stuff. But I think I don't know if having a website is a bad idea in 2025. I think if you're trying to be IGN, you're going to go nowhere, right? I don't think there's any hope in growing a website into the next IGN anymore, right? It's just not. I mean, even Game Informer, like, again, I know GameStop is a dying company, and that whole team got screwed, right? Like, oh my gosh, I feel so bad for all of them. And so maybe that's a bad example, but like, some of these websites are just shutting down because they can't get the clicks, and it's all about, clickbait and, quote tweeting and engagement on Twitter and all these other things. And it's like, yeah, if you're going to try to be IGN, you're not going to be. IGN isn't even IGN anymore to an extent. But I think the way that we do it, I think the way we encourage our community to participate in people who want to get their foot in the door in creation and don't know where to go. I think David and I have kind of created a site that allows people to be creative about the things they want to be creative about and have an outlet, rather than just growing a website to be the next IGN, right? Like, sure, it'd be nice to grow larger and make a lot of money off of a website, but like, that's not where we're at, and that's not what we're trying to be. We are trying to be a creative outlet for people who don't have one and don't know where to start. And it's a jump off point, and some people have gone off to go do bigger and better things at other outlets. Some people have gone to developers. Some people have gone off to do their own thing. Like, it's really cool. Like, that's what we want out of this. And so, like, as the website kind of grows in that perspective, like, I don't think having a community-based website is bad at all. I think it's great. I think it's okay that we have a website because we're not trying to be the next IGN, right? So that's kind of where I'm at there. Let's see, what else did he say? So my stance on other outlets, yeah, I mean, like I said, I think smaller creators with micro communities are out there doing their thing, and it's great, and making these bigger sites kind of almost irrelevant in a way. I can't tell you the last time I went to IGN for news. Like, I do want to say though, the sites I visit the most are like Nintendo Life and Push Square and that family of outlets. And I know that IGN's parent company, I think it's Ziff Davis, right, just bought all those. Time Extension and Euro Gamer and Video Game Chronicle, right? Like, they bought all those sites. Like, I still think the sites that do it the best are Nintendo Life and Push Square are my two favorite, and to an extent, I guess, Pure Xbox, but I don't think Pure Xbox has the legs that Push Square and Nintendo Life do. But those are like, if you want good quality news, up-to-date news, like, those are the places to go. And they're always great about citing their sources. So if you want to read more about the story, you can go there, right? Like, Nintendo Life always cites like, oh, we got this from Video Game Chronicle or Eurogamer or, IGN or this YouTube video or this podcast or this Twitter post. Like, they're awesome about that too. So if you want to find where they got that information. So shout out to Nintendo Life and Push Square. They're doing awesome. And I wish more sites took that approach, honestly. All right, we have one more question here for this expansion pass. Mark Zaluchki. Hope I'm saying your name right, Mark. Got to get my question on for the episode. I'm wondering what your thoughts are as for doing other content other than pods. I hear most of you say you want to, but there isn't really any. Why? What's stopping you? honestly, time. Stopping me from doing other content is time. And the sheer amount of podcasts we do. Those two things are what's preventing me from doing other things, right? Like I have actually taken a step back and done less this year because I want to spend time with my family, and I haven't really done a great job of doing that. Work's getting busier, so sometimes I work late. That kind of thing. It's really time and the amount of podcasts that we do that's preventing me from doing more, right? I want to do video reviews so bad. Like I want to play games and record them, and like I would even like to stream sometimes, but I can't. There's not enough time. And all my effort goes like even if I took the editing parts of this shows away and posting, like maybe I would have time to do other things, but like the sheer fact, and again, I can't speak for anybody else, right? But like for me, I can't. There is not enough time to do all of this. I barely have enough time to do all this. And sometimes I stay up way too late doing this, which is fine, but again, not ideal. So that's where I'm at there. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we are doing too much. Maybe we need to stop doing so much. But I don't want to stop doing so much because I love it. I do love it despite the amount of time it takes and the amount of energy and sometimes frustrations and setting stuff up. Like I do really love podcasting. Like that's what I love to do. And so I'm going to keep doing it. And the way podcasts are now is like, what is it promoting? What are you promoting? What are you getting out of it? And it used to be, oh, let's do a podcast. That's our main source of like, I don't want to say income, but that's our main thing to like. Podcasts are supposed to, what is the podcast promoting, right? What is the podcast servicing? And we don't have that answer because the podcasts are still our main thing. And we're, in terms of like financially growing and promoting other things, we are behind on that. That's not it's not a secret, but we also don't have time to do other things. So yeah, I mean, I would also like to write more. And I probably will soon. I just haven't taken the time to do that, but yeah. So I hope that answered your question, and I hope that answers everybody's questions. That's going to do it for Expansion Pass this week. Hope you enjoyed this mailbag a little bit longer than I anticipated, but that's okay. I enjoy doing solo stuff by myself like this. It's great. And I don't know, maybe we'll do more in the future. I want to thank everybody for watching or listening to Expansion Pass. Remember, you can get Expansion Pass 2 weeks early over on Patreon, patreon.com/Boss Rush Network, or you can subscribe on free feeds and get it when the normies do, as we say. If you are over on Patreon for just as little as $1 a month, you get Boss Rush Expansion Pass 2 weeks early. You get Book Club a month early. You get exclusive perks like access to the Boss Rush podcast pre-show twice a month. You get the Nintendo Power Block 1-Up show once a month. And then cool other perks as well. So I want to thank everybody for watching and or listening. Remember to like, subscribe, rate, and review wherever you watch or listen. Subscribe on YouTube, youtube.com/Boss Rush Network. Head to our website, bossrush.net, to check out our daily banters, features, reviews, news, and more. I want to thank everybody for watching and or listening. And until next time, we love you. Goodbye. If you want to see how you can become a Patreon producer, head on over to patreon.com/Boss Rush Network. The Patreon producers for this month are Adriel Munger, Austin Campbell, Celeste Roberts, Christian S., Sana Dierig, Francisco Santillan, Matthew Keel, and Todd Oxtra. Thanks for your continued support of the Boss Rush Network.